right, we'll call the meeting to order, just 1 or 2 minutes after 7 o'clock. So we have 4 Select Board members, and Mary Lee is joining us electronically on the phone. I'm not sure where she is, but I think across country somewhere. And so we'll get started, and we'll try to keep Mary Lee in the conversation, obviously, and engaged in the meeting. So first item, are there any items from the audience? Yes, Jeff, I knew you were going to be here. You can just come right up to the front.
My name is Jeff Davis, and I'm here. We had submitted a qualification statement to be on the bid list to build a town garage, and we were not included. I'm with VCAM Construction, and I'm not sure how many of you were on the selection committee, but I think our company is more than qualified to build your project. I personally have been in the business for 42 years doing this type of work. We're currently building a much larger version of your garage right now up in Milton for Vermont Sports Car. It's a big, not only garage, but manufacturing facility for their competitive race cars. Built the Hartford garage. I've built a number of automobile dealerships.
Sorry.
And so as far as complexity of project, size of project, this project is right in our wheelhouse. It's, we do about 20 to 30 million a year, so a $2.5 to $3 million job is perfect for us. On a personal level, I volunteer for the Lake Iroquois Association. I'm on the board. I also have volunteered for the recreational district. You nominated me to be the Hinesburg representative. So I spend 2 nights a week, like you do, attending meetings, and so it was a little bit of, I felt like almost a slap in the face not being included on the bid list. So that's why I'm here, to have you reconsider, and I don't know what that means. One other item I want to mention is our safety record. It's rated, it's called a mod rate, and ours is 0.87. Average is, if you're 1 or below, you're pretty good. One of the contractors that's on your list had a severe accident building the Williston Town Garage, and lucky that no one was killed, some people were hurt. So again, I think that we're a quality company that is more than capable of building your parking garage, and again, I'd like you to reconsider not including us on the list. We're bondable, strong financially. So I don't know what the criteria was for eliminating bidders, but I'd like to know if there's something that.
I'll sort of paint the picture of where we are. In fact, we did meet last week in executive session to talk about this process, and I believe the board allowed the committee, we agreed with the committee to allow them to make decisions on reducing the number of bidders to a reasonable amount, because we had a lot of bidders on this. So this was a committee decision, which the committee has a select board member, a town administrator, and several town employees, plus the outside contractors. So that was the process, and so it's really a committee, at this point it's a committee decision, but we appreciate your input, and if the select board wants to revisit it, they certainly could.
So can I ask what the criteria was for selection? There has to be a criteria, right? As to, so what was, can you tell me what that was?
So, I don't know,
There should be a spreadsheet showing pluses and minuses and ratings of company.
I don't, some of the items that are on the criteria, do you want to just speak to it?
Well, I think the things that you listed, safety record, a bondable, scope of the size of projects that the company has done, also the nature of the jobs and the amount of municipal experience. I think and recommendations of our architects and who has record of team player, and knowing that this is a municipal job and is kind of different, it's the construction is the same, but the ability to work within the timeframes and all the people on the team, I think those are the criteria that we looked at, ability to start. And so we were, since we were relying heavily on our consultants to help us evaluate, since they work year in and year out with different contractors. So we were looking to them, our own experience in town with different contractors.
But Steve Smith, is that the only consultant?
Yes, SAS Architects has been our consultant for.
So I built the Black Hawk helicopter facility, which was a $40 to $50 million job with his partner,
Yeah.
not with Steve.
Yeah.
And I think that what he did is he recommended companies that he had worked with before. Even though I've worked with his company on several projects, I've never worked with Steve.
I think
That's not fair, really.
I think he not only did he use his experience, but the experience of his colleagues as well, and so he took feedback from everyone from his firm.
Excellent relationship with Marty,
Right.
with his colleague. So Marty would highly recommend our company, and me personally, because I've done a lot of work with him. It's you mentioned safety. That wasn't even a criteria on the proposal, so I'm not sure how you would have checked that out.
Those are part of the
We were aware of some of
conversations.
the issues, and, we're just trying to take a broad look, understand what the requirements of working with day-to-day with our team.
Yeah.
So how could a company be on the list that has a terrible safety record?
I guess I'm going to stop because we're not really,
Yeah.
this isn't a time. First of all, we're not the committee here, so we did hear you say that you're really disappointed and you felt like you were very qualified, and we don't doubt that. And we can certainly, ask those questions, and we will ask those questions and go from there, I think, with this. But the Select Board did empower this committee to make that decision. We were fortunate to have a lot of bidders, and so the committee said, this is how we're going to move forward, and the Select Board said, that seems reasonable, and so they are, moving forward with our approval on this. But, I think we'll stop and reflect and make sure we feel we're doing the right thing.
The other thing that surprised me is I think this is about the first time that I've ever seen a pre-qual for a competitive bid. University of Vermont does that for their projects. They have about 15 or 16 contractors that are qualified to bid their work. Really, the criteria is, can you provide a performance and payment bond? Are you financially strong enough to do this type of project? And that's probably the most important thing, is do you have the banking and the bondability? So, well, I hope you reconsider. It's like I said, I think that we're more than qualified to do this project. And I know we can be competitive because we have low overhead, and we typically beat the contractors that are on your list. So if it's about saving money, and obviously I think that is to meet budget. And we have done a number of municipality projects through the years. Okay, thank you. Thank you for listening to me.
I don't think there's any other comments from the audience. Additions, deletions, changes to the agenda?
None for me.
No, I don't think so, but I will say, at the end, the last item is where we expect to go into executive session, and there's 3 or 4 items we will have discussions with, so we will discuss those prior to going in. There just is a couple of contracts for us to consider and get some information on. Primarily, I think it's all contracts. And then we'll probably have a discussion on the town administrator hire too. Okay, with that, the one we've been waiting for, item number 3, the public hearing on the town plan. This is public hearing number 2. It's been a long process. I think it's fair to say probably at least 2 years or longer. Probably a year and a half of public meetings and discussion. This is the second required public hearing of the final draft. And I'd just like to thank the Planning Commission, Alex and his team for their hard work and diligent approach to getting us this far. So I'll turn it over to you, Alex, if that's okay. Oh. You'll need to use the microphone.
Let me get that right.
It might just be my eyes, but can we sharpen the picture up there?
It's not great, but we can
You want to borrow these?
insert.
That's as sharp as it gets, Mark.
Yes.
Let me just, sorry to interrupt, Alex. So Mary Lee's still with us?
Still there, Marilee?
And we have to tell her she needs to turn the volume on the show she's watching, which is us, but there's a huge time delay, so that's what that problem was. Is she okay with that?
Did you hear that, Marilee? We're getting feedback through the phone from the TV channel that you're watching, and it's a little bit difficult to sort out, so you might need to turn the volume down on the television.
There's a time delay, so you're watching us 20 seconds later. So you either have to listen to the microphone. Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
I can hear you better on the phone.
Okay, that would be better. All right. Alex, you're on.
So I don't have a lot to say. I did get a written comment from someone that's similar to a comment made at the first hearing, so I might want to distribute that to you and go over that briefly. But this is really your second opportunity in a formal setting to collect public comments. So, Phil, if you want to take any comments from the
Sure.
public
Okay.
that are here, I can
Yep.
deal with this after that's done.
Yeah, is there anybody with a comment from our audience here? Nope. Going twice. And
Chuck, you're not here to comment on the town plan?
I'm fine with
Okay,
the plan as it is.
okay.
you gotta use the mic.
Yeah, my comment is I'm fine with the plan the way it's written. Yes.
Did any select board comments, or did anybody get any specific feedback from the public prior to the meeting?
Nothing new, no.
Okay. So do you want to tell
Okay,
us?
so at the last meeting, Ann Castle was here and expressed some concern about one of the priority trail connections, specifically number 3 on map 13. And there was some discussion about the fact that those future trail connections are visionary, they're not cast in stone, they may never happen, and they will require landowner coordination. And I think one of the questions she brought up was, is it a good idea to put a trail through a wildlife management area that are being managed for the critters? And I had said, well, we definitely are going to work with Vermont Fish and Wildlife if in fact a trail is ever to go through there. I think she lives right near where that trail is supposed to come out to try to connect the Hinesburg Town Forest to Hines Road, which is one of our dirt roads. And so I think she had some concerns about impacts on her property as well. So one of her neighbors, Marcia Casey, submitted a letter. I'll just read it for the record, and then I'll pass it out to you, saying that upon review of the proposed town plan, I noticed that on map 13, the trail network vision, there's a proposed trail number 3 that appears to cross through my property. I wish to go on record as being opposed to that particular trail. So I haven't communicated with Marcia because this just came in the mail today, but I thought I would prepare a map, an aerial photo showing her property, approximation of that trail, and just a copy of map 13 from the plan. Make sure all of you have it so it's on the record, and also provide it to our trail committee so that in the future, if they want to do landowner discussions about this particular trail segment, they know that they know what the thoughts of these landowners are, and know to touch base with them up front. So anyways, here are those comments.
Could I make a comment on that?
Yes.
I didn't pull the map up in front of me, but I think it's important to remember that it is difficult for current landowners to see things on a map. And what we have to remember is that these are concepts. So the concept is to link the wildlife public land to Hines Road, and I'm sure that there are a variety of ways of doing that. And also to remember that that we're talking about, it could possibly be 5 years, it could be 10, it could be 50 years. It's a concept right now. And so I still feel confident that the process that we go through when we do establish a trail, that the Trails Committee goes through, that an easement is acquired, there's lots of opportunity for alternatives to be explored, and that this is a concept, this is a town plan, it's not a regulation. So I feel confident that I could move ahead with the map as it is.
Yeah, we talked about some of this at the last meeting, and I think Andrea reiterated some of what was said there as well. I just wanted to make sure that this was on the record so that when our volunteers, because it will be our Trails Committee who does this work, goes out to talk to landowners about a future or a possible trail, that they have this information and they just know, who they need to talk to and what the issues were going into it.
Okay. Are there any other specific comments, or do you have any closing comments, Alex?
No, I received several positive comments that I didn't share with you. Just, it's a very readable plan. People appreciated it. They liked certain aspects of it. I don't have anything else to say, except I'm happy to answer any further questions before you close this and maybe take some action.
Just like to appreciate the moment where Alex has nothing left to say.
I want to appreciate the moment that we have members of the Planning Commission here, and that to all the members of the Planning Commission and Alex and the public that have participated in this process, that it's a real testament to the ability for all of us to engage. So thank you to everybody.
Yeah. And the timing, if this plan gets adopted, and it will last for
8 years.
8 years. So,
Not
and
to
it
say
can be
we
modified.
Yeah,
and
not
it
to
can
say
be
we
modified.
can't open it back up 6 months from now.
Right.
And there was some discussion of doing that by the Energy Committee in particular with
Yes.
regard to the Energy Chapter because
Okay.
of new statutes in the last year.
Yeah, and just for my own education, what would be the process if we wanted to make a change? Are there two different, one for significant changes and one for just...
Yeah, the word substantive is used in the
Okay.
in the statute. So if there's any substantive changes, you need to rewarn 2 public hearings and go through this tail end of the process.
The tail end, okay.
Yep. If it's grammatical or non-substantive, it doesn't need to do that.
Okay.
What about updating statistics that become out of date when we might have some additional information, like from the housing needs
housing,
assessment or a census that comes along, and we want to put in more current information.
Yeah, my understanding is it wouldn't change the adoption process. That's very possible. It would still start with the planning commission, and they would work on those changes and then have a hearing and then forward them to you. This process took a very long time because we hadn't updated the plan in a significant way and gone out to the public to get serious feedback since the 2005 update. So if we were to update on some statistics or basic technical data, I would imagine we wouldn't go through that lengthy of a process, so we could do that more rapidly.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll just say that I thought the process, at least on the select board end, was, I appreciate it. I thought it was, well thought out. We made a few changes to it, some of them substantive, but for the most part, I thought the planning commission did a really good job. It's a very readable plan. It's very nice to look at. So congratulations to everybody that worked on the plan. Pretty well done.
Okay. We could entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the Hinesburg Town Plan as presented to the first public hearing on 7/20/17, draft number 7, as our final adoption. Is that?
Yeah, you just technically need to close the hearing
Oh, right.
first.
I'll move to close
okay.
the public hearing.
Second.
And in that motion, do you want her to include the maps and appendices, or does that matter?
It doesn't hurt to reference those. They are referenced in the plan themselves, but
Okay.
They are part of the plan.
They are part of the plan.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so all those in favor in closing the public session, say aye.
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 Aye. Mary Lee?
Excuse me. Yes, I am in favor of approving the town plan and join the others in congratulating and appreciating the planning commission and Alex and everybody in town who has participated in creating it.
Okay. So now we have a motion, and it's seconded. Did someone second it?
Second it.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor of adopting the town plan as noted, say aye.
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 Aye. And I heard Mary Lee say aye. No.
Aye.
Aye.
Twice.
So the motion has passed. Thank you, Alex, very much.
Does it become effective immediately?
Yes.
Yes.
Effective
Okay.
upon adoption.
Got it.
Very good. She's listening to us. Thank you. Okay, so the next item on the agenda, there are 3 items for wind energy, NRG.
No, we've got another thing with Alex.
Oh, yes, sorry. Item 5 is the municipal planning grant. That's why Alex is still here.
Right.
So you have 2, if I understand it, 2 options you'd like to move forward with these grants. These are sort of a yearly process where we apply for planning assistance. And the 2 options, one is a water and wastewater build-out plan assistance, and the other one, some design standards for the village build-out. I had a question for you, and that was, would this be for both of them, or these are 2 to choose from?
These are 2 options. We would pick one to make the grant application for.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought. Yep. Did everyone get a chance to take a look at the memo, I think there was, that described it, and there was some additional paperwork that described the process. Any comments on an option? Andrea?
Yes, I would very much like to recommend that we apply for the water wastewater build-out. I attended a municipal planning day last Friday, or 2 Fridays ago, that was put on by the Agency of Natural Resources, VTrans, and Community and community and economic development, and went to one of the workshops. And one of the things that was highly recommended that we've never really engaged in is in a master planning process is doing kind of an economic analysis of where we're at and what our strengths are and that. So I think this is a huge issue for us, and I might define the scope of how you've written that a little broader than what's there, but I do feel like this is a really important thing that we need a consultant, that it's really hard to move forward with a master plan for the town without having some economic information. I don't know that we need to go full bore, and generally the economic information that we use in compiling our plans are very much general and regionally, so we're just kind of lumped in with the rest of Chittenden County. I think we have some really unique circumstances around our water and wastewater situation, and it would be really helpful to have a consultant not only to figure out the allocation, but to work with the build out and, you know, really do some economic projections. And, you know, we've kind of relied on our engineers a little bit for the cost of doing the upgrades, but we don't really know what the income is going to be, you know. So we know what the expenses are. We don't really understand the income capacity. So whether it's really an asset or a liability for us.
Tom or Aaron, any
I
comments?
would agree with Andrea that I think the water, wastewater is a number one most important thing facing us right now. So I would certainly want to move forward with that.
Yeah, when I was looking at this too, I was thinking the same thing. But that's not to take away from this idea of the village area design standards, which is something that we've been talking about forever, which is a worthwhile project to take on. And maybe we can find a way still to jumpstart that somehow. But the choice here would be...
We'll still be working on that
Yeah.
regardless. It's just that...
It just doesn't go away. It
Right.
just,
We- having some consultant horsepower sometimes helps
Absolutely,
get us
yeah.
across the middle and or finish line.
But looking at these two things, there's hands down, there's no question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mayor Lee, do you have anything you'd like to add, or?
Are you there?
I am here, yes.
Okay.
And what Andrea said made sense to me. So I think it would be a good idea to apply for the money to do some planning on the costs and what costs we might get from wastewater allocations.
Okay. And I'll add, you know, this is sort of the horse before the cart, you know, this water and wastewater. It's even worse than that. I mean, it's knocking down the barn door trying to get to us. So this clearly is the number one issue, I think, overall for the town, and certainly for any development, which we have knocking on the door and some very good ones. So this seems totally appropriate, the water and wastewater build out. And I think in the application, we could explain some of the situations we're in and how, you know, how important this is for our town. So I think maybe, do we need a motion for that, you think?
So
Yeah,
what
we have to
happens
fill
with
out the
municipal
paperwork,
planning grant
right.
is there's a formal resolution
Right.
with several whereases and a couple of therefores.
And some signatures, planning chair, town
Yes.
administrator, select board member, and you would be the administrator of the grant, is that, or is that the treasurer?
No, I would be the grant administrator. The authorized official would be Renee, and we may designate an alternate authorizing official, one of you, to be able to hit the submit button on the...
And the planning chair too, I think.
And it requires the signature of the planning commission chair,
okay.
yep. So in the past, what we've done is just have you recognize that you have reviewed the resolution and then have a motion approving the submission of the grant application for the project we've just discussed. And then I can do the rest of the paperwork as long as I get your signatures on the form.
Yes, okay.
So in anticipation of winning a grant, What exactly are the municipal planning grant program priorities that we are hopefully aligning with to put us in good favor that you talked about?
They're a little bland, to be perfectly honest. There are a couple of priorities with regard to revising or creating a town plan. We just did that. We're not looking to do that kind of a project. They prioritize projects that bring regulations, land use regulations, into consistency with town plans. So if there's a gross misalignment between your regulations and your plan, that's a project they like to fund. And they also like to fund in their priority list projects that will help designation areas like downtowns, village centers, and the like.
Those are the big ones that get a lot of press.
Unfortunately, our designation lapsed because the town plan took so long to adopt, and we weren't able to renew that designation until the town plan was adopted. So I will put lots of language in our grant about the fact that we previously had a designation and we are in the process of applying for a new one now that the town plan's been adopted, but I don't know if we'll get preference points or line up with that priority. This is an implementation project. They do also prioritize implementation projects. So we're not completely out of step with the grant, but a lot of what the grant funds are more run-of-the-mill regulation updates and designation applications for downtown village center, that sort of thing. So we'll just have to see whether we get it, and I'll do my best to write the grant appropriately.
Yes, and they did, I mean, some of the towns that were presenting at this, and the representative from Housing and Community Affairs, or whatever the name of that agency
Close
is,
enough.
emphasized that the economic planning was funded for some of those communities as part of their master planning process. So I think it, I would think would be eligible, and I think they can appreciate what we've done.
It's certainly eligible, whether it's competitive for what is a very small pot of money statewide. It's only $450,000 for 250 plus municipalities, so it's tight.
This is our year. This is an important topic, so this is where we could use a
Well,
little.
I am happy to run by whichever one of you would like to be designated, or all of you if you're so inclined, the grant application narrative, so that if there's some additional flowery language you want to put in, or something that you can help. It is due the 2nd of October, so
That's next Monday.
yeah, we just have a week to put it
So,
together.
I mean, I'd be happy to do that, but I would also look at Andrea, who's been successful at some grants, so maybe more experience in that. Is that?
I'd be glad to. I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward, and I think once we're awarded the grant, I mean, Alex has been very successful at getting grants as well, that when we are hiring, then really identifying the scope of the project and identifying consultants who can help us with that and what qualifications they have. I think that's the critical piece. I think the application process is fairly cut and dry, but I'd be glad to look at it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? Is there a motion?
Yeah, again, all I'm looking for is a motion to approve the submission of the grant application pursuant to tonight's discussion and the resolution that you've already reviewed.
I'll make that motion.
And the second here.
Okay, any other discussion? You think you got that on the minutes? Okay. Yeah, okay.
Merrily.
Mary Lee, did you have something before we vote?
It's fine. I'm in favor.
Okay, well, we'll vote now, okay? All those in favor say aye?
Aye.
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 Aye, so all in favor, none opposed, so that motion passed. And
Phil,
we-
I'll
Yes,
just bring this up just because it's on in my brain. The other aspect, the village design standards, we may be able to get some assistance from, I can think of the Conway School of Landscape Design, and they typically do projects for municipalities, and they may consider helping us with that kind of project. There will probably be some kind of fee associated with it, but I think we might consider it, you
Worth
know.
looking into.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I will.
and also, yeah.
So Renee, can you circulate that resolution, or or it's already
going around.
circulating? Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. We're good to go, so you just have to sign the back, I think. Need my pen? Yeah. I'll take it back, though, when you're done. So on to item 6. The next 3 items are items associated with Wind NRG Partners, a continuation of the pedestrian bike path easement. It's really acceptance of the easement. And then there's a perpetual conservation easement associated with some wetlands that go along with the new sidewalk. And then potential grant of development rights and conservation restrictions on some property at Wind NRG Partners. So do you guys want to come up, or?
We can either bring 2 chairs up to this table and both Jeff and Jan can come up here, or we can.
It's
go-
Jeff.
yeah.
Jeff.
Jeff, yeah, and Jan, yeah.
So you can just introduce yourselves, I guess. That would be good, because we're on TV here, so.
So I'm Jan Blomstrand. I'm the owner of Wind Energy Partners, which is the land surrounding the NRG building.
And I'm Jeff Glassberg. I've been working with Jan on property-related issues.
Yeah, and you've been here a couple times, Jeff, and
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed, we just are trying to push for a grant on water and wastewater.
I did
Yes.
just notice that. That was.
That's close to your
and you
heart.
Approved the town plan. These are all signs of progress. Thank
Okay.
you. Yes.
Good. So the first item is the pedestrian bicycle path easement, which, do you want to lead us in on that?
Sure. So this easement deed, the reason it's coming before you today or this evening is it's actually something that when Jan purchased the property, that was in the deed from the former owner to create an easement for the town to accept for this bicycle path. And as we were going through the permitting and trying to get all the documentation ready for Doug Hinson, I was looking for that easement deed and it didn't exist. So I reached out to Jan, and so she drew up the easement deed and we have it in front of us this evening for you guys, for your acceptance. And I think it's really something that, like I said, should have taken place a long time ago, so this is just taking care of that step.
Any comments? Yes, Andrea?
Yeah, there was one thing that struck me was that it is because at certain times we had talked about the potential of a boardwalk, and also so it says it's either bituminous or concrete paved sidewalk, and that's what we are doing right now. But in the future, we may end up wanting to make this into a bike path. It may end up so we have not filled in the width of it. That's blank, of an improved surface, not more than. So
I just need to get that from the map slide. I
from the
forgot.
what?
From the map slide as far as the width, I believe, or the
Right,
map slide number.
but I think what we want to remember is that this is an easement in perpetuity, and so whether we would have to go back if we decided to change it from a 5-foot sidewalk to a 10-foot bike path, if we wanted to improve it by doing some boardwalk where we're going through the wetlands in the future, do we want some flexibility in this easement, or to recognize that we'll have to go back in the future? I mean, it's a 20-foot wide right-of-way, so we would have that opportunity. So, and I'm just trying to think 10 years, 20 years down the road, because we don't want to.
This has been in the works for many, many years now. I think you know that this was a grant application from I don't know how many years
At
ago.
least 4, 5.
Or
maybe,
at
yeah.
least 5,
yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the study had been done of where,
Yeah, I understand that, but I don't know that we'd ever seen the easement before of the exact language, and I think it's important that we consider that the easement is in perpetuity, and it's something that the town is going to have the responsibility for maintaining that sidewalk and, what we can do within that easement area, I think we should try to have some, it's 20 feet wide. So, I'm comfortable with the 5 feet. I'm just pointing out that it's important when we're acquiring these kind of easements that we think longer term than just getting it built.
The concern that I have is that what you're suggesting doesn't delay this even further.
Right, yeah.
That's one thing. And the other is that the second thing you're going to talk about is the wetland mitigation
Yes.
deed that's been put forward in order to get this
Yes.
easement even possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I think what you're saying, makes some sense there. We just don't want to make sure our hands aren't tied. So it's a 20-foot width, and it does, some of the language talks about, concrete or pavement, but I'm not sure it locks us into that. It just sort of is a description of it, I think.
Well, I think it pretty much is. So if we want to, in 10, 15 years from now, we want to change that into a bike path and make it 10 feet. It's not to say that it will be possible. It's just we have to check in, and that's perfectly acceptable. I just think that as we move forward with these kinds of things, we understand what we want to have in these easements so that we're not having to go back, that we can make them a little broader. That's all.
So what I'm hearing are two concerns that I think we could address right now. One is if we just struck the language about bituminous or concrete paved sidewalk and just said the right to construct, reconstruct, repair, replace, patrol, level, fill, drain a sidewalk,
Yeah.
right?
A
And then it
sidewalk
doesn't
slash
say-
bike path.
And then, as Renee noted, the width is blank. It could be
Right.
up to 20 feet. So we weren't suggesting that it be limited
I know.
to
Yeah.
2.5. It's within a 20-foot easement area. Within that 20-foot easement area, you've also got to account for drainage and all the rest.
Yeah.
So it's likely it wouldn't be
Right.
20 feet wide itself. But with those changes, would it address your concerns?
I guess that's my question. Are we working backwards? Because does the width affect
The wetlands.
the wetlands, which
The-
would affect this easement? I don't want them working against each other.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think they would, because this is about an easement, and what's been permitted is a very specific project based on a set of plans, not based on a 20-foot easement, based on the actual engineered plans. So I think we're covered there.
It's just in the future, we would have to go through permitting and all that.
Oh, I understand,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
this has been going on for
Yeah,
a long time, and
yeah.
I want to make sure that if we
Right.
approve one thing, and then
Yeah.
we go to approve the next thing, that they're not going to fight against each other, and we'll end up
Yeah.
back here again.
That
Nobody
that
wants
was my
that.
concern
Yeah,
as well.
no, I think it's just giving us, that we don't have to keep coming back and forth to each other, 15 years from now.
Yeah.
We probably would anyway, though. It's just good practice.
And to Tom's point, I don't know if you did come back 10 or 15 years from now, whether the wetlands issue would come up again. I don't know whether what we've
If the design
mitigated.
were to change, it
Yes,
would.
yeah.
So as I say, the planned project is now fully permitted from a wetlands
Yeah,
perspective.
we're not changing what's getting built today.
Correct.
And that's a 5-foot,
Yes.
or is there any width?
I think it's it's what's drawn on the plans is probably a 5-foot sidewalk.
Okay.
I don't know, but I would rather change it to 12 feet, if it could be. If we have to put something in this easement, then it's,
Yep.
because, and that's just the improved surface, and then that still gives us 8 feet, 4 feet on either side to,
So you guys could make a motion to accept this easement per the, revisions that we've agreed to, and maybe just getting clarification from either Doug Hinson or someone to ensure that's not impacting the wetlands easement.
You
Does
think
that make
we're all
sense?
right here, Jeff?
I,
If you're-
I do, again, this is talking about the future, the plans that the town has paid for from Lambeau and Dickinson are now permitted, so that's done.
Yeah. So this step is just, we need to get this, have the town accept it, and then it gets recorded, and then I send that copy so that can go to the right-of-way.
Okay,
Alrighty.
that sounds good. Are there any comments or other?
I'd just probably like to hear him read that into the record, what were
Okay.
the
Sure,
changes.
so I'm looking at the second paragraph under path easement. And so it would read, as it does now, within the easement area, grantee and its successors and assigns shall have the right to construct, reconstruct, repair, maintain, replace, patrol, level, fill, I would add the word and drain, strike and pave, leave the word a, strike bituminous and or concrete paved, and leave the word sidewalk. So now you have all the right to do a sidewalk, not saying what it's constructed of, and we're proposing to fill in the blank with 12 feet.
Okay. All right. Any other comments? Marilee, do you have any comments?
No?
Okay. So that was the motion. Was it seconded? I don't think so. Okay,
I don't know if there was a motion.
okay.
Did you make a motion?
Oh, yes, I made the motion.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Per Jeff's suggestions.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff, for helping us through this. So all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Did I get an aye from?
Were you there, Marilee?
Yes, I did say aye.
All
Okay,
right,
thank you.
Aye, so the motion's passed. There's none opposed. Thank you. Number 2 on this, actually number 7 on our agenda. Now, this is the conservation easement associated with the wetland that had to be put aside to allow the sidewalk to move into the wetland area adjacent to 116.
So you-
Correct. So this is an easement on 2.1 acres as an offset to the impact on wetlands from construction of the sidewalk. The amount of area conserved is substantially more than the amount of area impacted. That's how this works.
Yeah.
It's, the area being conserved is primarily within an area that was delineated wetland anyway. It was not developable. Providing a conservation easement on this 2.1 acres does not hinder the ability for Jan to pursue development of the adjoining properties consistent with the master plan that the town has seen. So this is putting just this legal control over what's already land that wouldn't be developed because it's wetland, but the state insisted as part of the wetland permitting process to have the easement in place.
Okay. Yes, Andrea?
I would just like to say that I think this is a valuable thing to have because regulations come and go. And we could be filling in wetlands next week because the federal regulations regarding wetlands could disappear. So we know from all of the recent weather events the importance of wetlands, so I'm glad to see that there's this extra protection that is offered by a conservation easement and that we aren't just relying on. So I'm very appreciative of Jan's willingness to do this, and you know, it's kind of a sad commentary that they might disappear. But anyway, it's really good added protection.
And I would add that, you know, being along Patrick Brook the way it is, it really helps protect that, you know, important
Yep.
waterway. And if there's some future flooding or anything like that, it seems like a appropriate place to have some protected land. Any other comments? All right, Marilee, any comments?
a good plan to me.
Okay? So was there a motion?
Not yet.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the conservation easement deed with Wind Energy Partners as
All right.
presented.
I'll second that for you.
All right, seconded. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 And I say aye, so the motion passed. There's none opposed. Thank you. Thank you, Jan and Jeff, for working through this. I know that, it has been a long haul to get this important piece of infrastructure and this sidewalk in place, and willingness to work through the wetland issue, I know costs a little money and costs a lot of, it takes a lot of work to do that, so it's definitely appreciated.
Improvement for the village.
Yes, yes, it will. All right, the third item, number 8, is consider a grant of development rights and conservation restrictions from Wind Energy Partners. This is concerning 3 lots, up sort of above on the top of the hill or up toward the hill behind the building. These were 3 building lots previously approved a number of years ago that Wind Energy Partners is now considering conserving this land and providing the development rights.
And Phil,
Go ahead.
let me just make a correction. This one's not Wind Energy Partners. This is land that's owned by me personally and the
Oh,
trust.
okay. All right, it says, yeah, so.
Sorry, yeah.
So, all right, from Jan Blittersdorf. Blumstrom, sorry. Andrea, any comments? Sorry.
I think it's a really, it's a small, it's 3 lots, so it's a small acreage, but I think it's a prominent location, and it's really nice to know that it's not quite the top of the ridge, but I think clearing of that land, which I believe was a concern of Jan's, I think would really impact our, impact the view in the village. I think it's very generous, and I'm grateful that it can be protected.
So we have in our packet also a memo or a letter from the Hinesburg Land Trust encouraging us to move forward with this. And they, describe this forested hillside provides a distinct natural background to the village, and the scenic quality of, of this area, et cetera, just really encouraging us to move forward. And I'd agree, when you look toward that section of town and you see that hillside, and if you envision the village growing and being a bit bigger, and having that as a backdrop, it certainly will add to the what is our beautiful town and continue to look that way. So it's very generous action by Jan. Any other comments? Mary Lee? Are you still with us? What do you think?
Mary Lou, you there?
Okay, did that not come through?
There we go.
No, now it is.
I'm very grateful to Jan. I think this is a really valuable gift to the town of Hinesburg, and I think as we go into the future, we'll continue to be grateful for this, and it will make a difference in the way that Hinesburg looks. We'll go a long way toward retaining our rural character and beautiful countryside.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Your turn, Eric.
I'll make a motion to accept the grant of, what's it, the title, hang on. Grant of Development Rights and Conservation Restrictions of Jan Blomstrom of Burlington and her successors as outlined in our minutes. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
As discussed, yeah.
yeah.
Seconded by
Yep.
Aaron. Any other comments? No? All those in favor of the motion say aye,
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
and I'll say aye, so the motion's passed, there's none opposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so item 9 is approval of a contract addendum for the Village North Sidewalk from Lamoureux
Lambeau and
and
Dickinson.
Dickinson.
Yes.
So I think we had a packet in our packet.
Yeah, in your Dropbox,
yeah.
there was a little narrative from Lambeau and Dickinson, as well as what the amendment number 3 would be.
So it's a description of some additional costs associated with the delays in the sidewalk and additional work to do the wetland delineation, et cetera. So I think if we wish, we can approve these costs. They get passed on to, the 10% gets passed on to the two owners, Jiffy?
So Jolly
and Wind Energy.
Wind Energy.
So they seemed reasonable. I recognize all of those changes that have had to happen.
And to note, it wasn't, by any fault of theirs, but rather just circumstance of how this process has played out.
Right.
And to be expected, I guess, is my point.
Yep.
Any other comments? I think we could use, go ahead.
I don't have any problem with this. I think it's important as we move forward with other of these sidewalk kind of grants that are eligible for funding through the, federal funds, is that this was originally going to be managed, and that those project management costs are covered by the grant. And I think as we move ahead, we really need to either be tracking that amount of time in-house and billing for it, or be hiring somebody to manage it.
Yep, I agree. This was initially, which I think was 4 years ago or more, 5 maybe, maybe even more. That was part of the plan, and that we weren't able to follow through with that. So, but okay, so there's.
I'll make a motion to approve the cost changes for the contract with Lambeau and Dickinson Consulting Engineers.
I'll second it.
Okay, any more discussion? Anything from you, Mary Lee?
Yes, I think that we have to approve this as well.
Okay, so all those in favor of the motion say aye,
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
and I'll say aye, so the motion's passed, no objections. So we are now on item 10, Town Administrator Report.
Okay, let me just finish this last little bit of the minutes.
Okay.
Oh, great, perfect. That was great partnership. All right, so Town Administrator Report, let me see. A lot going on. If you were driving through town today, you saw on the Route 116, the 2 areas of sidewalk that need to be repaired. They're starting that process, so work is being done. Again,
Is there anywhere written in there, Renee Marshall, and written in the
if you guys
cement?
want to take the select board meeting down there, we could all put our little handprints in there. It's probably still wet. And then tomorrow, as we notified people, the work is going to be done right out here in front of Town Hall for that valve replacement. So all the businesses and schools have made their adjustments that they need to. The water department has been doing all the preparation, initial work. The contractor will be setting up by around 9:30, 10 o'clock starting the work. And then it's scheduled, the water shut off, I believe it was 1:45. approximately 1:45, and they're anticipating if all goes well, it will be a really quick, they'll just be able to have, the valve has already been built, is ready to go in, and it'll be installed, and then as soon as it's installed, everything to the north of Town Hall goes back on, and then they'll finish the work, and then everything to the south goes on. And so as long as everything goes well, it should be a really quick water disruption. But again, there's no promises on that because you never know. But they have done all of the work ahead of time to try to make it go as smooth as possible. Union negotiations now, as of just a couple days ago, found out that they are going to start on Wednesday. Typically, the first initial meeting is just kind of laying out the next 3 meetings. I haven't gotten confirmation if that's what their intention is, but so I think that's moving forward. Should go well.
And that will just be you there?
That'll just
Yeah.
be me right now, and the Ask Me, which is the union rep, as well as our union members. So, and let's see, I'll be out all day for the municipal budgeting workshop in Montpelier.
That's exciting.
There we go. And I think there's a lot going on, but everything seems to be moving ahead. The paving work on the parking lot for the connector road should be happening, I think, tomorrow, if I remember right. And then the striping will be taking place as well. Sometime between this week and I think they're pulling out, should be done by Thursday, I believe, of this week. So all of the different pieces of that should be done, and done just in time for the open house for the new police station, which is taking place on Friday.
Oh, yes,
So
right.
I think
This Friday.
I think we've gotten it, so it's,
4 to 7, something like
I
that?
believe so.
Yeah.
So,
It's not the new police station. Is that what you said? The
did
old
I say
police
it? I
station.
probably
don't know.
did.
No.
The old
Oh,
police station,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
The new old police
The
station.
new old.
Frank is
yeah.
not having an open house on Friday.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
just to be clear. And as far as the October 2nd meeting, we've got another trail easement for the Pearsons, Stuart and Julie, that we'll be looking at. And the Patriot Lodge just sent someone over and they'd like to be on an agenda, so that may be the October 2nd meeting, or depending on what we have. And then hopefully I will have the budget schedule finalized. Basically what you guys agreed to is going by what we did last year. And it's just a matter of adjusting dates. However, when I started making those adjustments, it's getting a little closer into the holiday time, and so I need to look at that a little further. Doing some final things. I've been having Trevor on the capital improvement plan, and so I think that's almost ready to present the draft to you. So hopefully there's potential that could be presented at the October 2nd meeting as well. So that is all I have.
Okay. Any comments, or does anybody have anything for Select Board Forum?
I'll mention it. Very pleased that the Supreme Court ruled.
That's right, yeah.
The Bissonnet Fields, the contractor is ready to go. The first field looks tremendous. He did a great job on it. It's going to fill in. The plan right now is to open it next year in the spring. At this pace, hopefully we can get at least one more field done, maybe some work on the second one. But the timing was right. We're able to get some work done this fall. So the kids and the people in Hinesburg are going to be very happy when this project is done, I assure you.
So I think you were hoping, the best you were hoping for would be we could maybe start playing on it next spring, and it sounds like we're getting there.
The hope was this fall, and it's
Okay,
actually
sorry.
playable, but
Yeah, that's
there's
all
some
right.
issues
Yeah.
with it meeting the DRB requirements,
Okay.
and just the way the timeline is worked out and the funding.
Yeah.
It's just not worth trying to do it this year, unfortunately.
So does this?
And the grass will really,
Yeah,
it'll just be even
much-
better.
Yeah.
the grass looks
Yeah.
tremendous considering the weather we've had.
Yeah.
It drained well, and now it's holding up very well
Yeah.
to the
To the
dry
drought.
conditions. So it's
Good.
I'm very pleased with the work that's been done.
Yeah, so with that Supreme Court ruling, I think that's it. Is there,
That is, from my understanding, that is it. So there isn't another opportunity for
Right.
this. So
Okay.
I have that in your Dropbox too.
Yes.
It was emailed to me.
okay?
So
All right, anything else for Select Board Forum? How'd the Harvest Festival go?
was a hot day.
It was a hot day. Yeah.
Yep. There was a
Good.
lot of really nice items for sale at the Fall Festival. We had a nice, excellent food, all local. It was amazing. In fact, I brought some lemon yellow squash cake here that either the select board have or I'm leaving for the staff downstairs because it can't stay in my house.
Okay.
Lots of, yeah, amazing food that we grow here in Hinesburg.
Yeah.
I'll just say one more thing, since Mike's in the house. So I've been driving around Hinesburg lately and noticed all the paving that was done. And really, from what I noticed, all the bad spots were
Yeah.
really taken care of. It really, the roads are in
Does
much
look
better
good.
shape, so.
Yeah, and you were able to sort of stretch it out and hit all the spots that, yeah. Yeah.
And you
So,
did.
yep.
It looks really good, so.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, there was, I did get a comment that they felt like there, on the Hollow Road, it was a little mismatch between the two pavings, but,
I've been over the Hollow Road, so I spotted
It looks like that. Because I said something, they paved it, the seam up the center.
Yes.
Yeah, it just looks like that is a sheen, the way it got rolled out.
but you're happy with how it turned out?
Yeah,
Okay,
we went and
well,
looked at it, and, yeah.
you can reiterate that to the, I'll tell you about that later.
Any idea when they're gonna stripe them?
That was up to the state. They wanted to know by last Thursday who had their paving done. They want to get that project done, so I emailed them and waiting on them.
And do you go out ahead of time? Who goes out ahead of time to make sure they put them in the right place?
They follow the seam, the center, the seam. So it's a fight with the paving company whether they pave 12 feet on one side, neat on the other, or they do 12 and 12 or whatever.
But I think the 3 foot, you know, what we don't want is like,
Right.
yeah.
Right, but I mean, is there a way to
Not even.
double
Yeah,
check
right.
before they actually?
Check with the state to see if they can get it up the center. I
Yeah.
don't know how- if they want to mark it or if I have to mark it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
okay.
check.
Okay, any other,
Yeah, one bad news, we're not gonna do Texas Hill this year. We're gonna wait till
oh,
spring.
the bridge? Yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna get to it this year, just because of the weather, the way the weather was all year. Parents are having a hard time getting a contractor to do the paving on it. They don't wanna put the concrete down and leave that for the winter and have that all chewed up and then have to fix the cement first before they pave it. So we figured we'd just put it off till spring and
Okay,
deal with it then, first thing.
yeah. All right. Anything else for Select Board Forum? So I'll just make a comment. A few folks have asked how the town administrator search is going, and I'd like to say we are making progress, we're moving forward, and hope to certainly have something in the next week or two. So we're not stalled by any means. And Marilee, do you have anything you'd like to say? You don't have to, but...
No, I do not.
Okay. All right, so the next is item 12, which was consider approving the minutes from 9/18/17, but since it didn't quite make it into our packet, we can push this off till the next
Yeah,
time?
absolutely.
So we'll push this off for the next meeting. Next, item 13, consider approving the warrants.
I'll make the motion to do so.
Okay, is there a second? Second? All those in favor of approving the warrants, say aye.
Guy?
Aye.
Aye. Andrea?
Yes, I.
Marilee?
Aye.
All right, so that motion's,
Aye.
There it is.
there it is.
We got you, thank
That
you.
motion's passed. Okay. So the next item, we will consider taking a motion to go into executive session. And if we go into executive session, if there's any activity that we need to take outside of executive session, we will put those in the minutes. So As we move into executive session, we'll end the broadcast of this meeting. And we are going in for several reasons. One is to review a contract associated with CSWD and the building of the new town garage and an MOU we have with them or working on. A second item is to discuss some legal opinions on Observatory Road, considering making it a Class 3 town road. And we will have some discussions about the town administrator search. I think for the first two items, Mike would join us along with Renee. For the third item, the town administrator search, it would be the select board along with Renee. And then just a very brief discussion about a potential future contract associated with the fire department and a landowner. And this is really just very, very preliminary, but I want to bring the select board up to where we are on that or what's happening. And are we going to talk about the water contract with BlackRock or not? No,
Not
think so.
at this
Okay.
time.
So those are 4 items potentially for executive session, more than usual. The first is I'd consider a motion to move into executive session under the provisions of 1 VSA State Statute 313A1 and A3.
So I'll make that motion.
Second.
So the motion's made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Andrea?
Aye.
All right, so and Marilee said aye, so that motion passed. And this one? Oh, sorry. We'll get this one of these days.
So you make the motion, you've explained.
Yep, so we did explain.
Yeah.
So the purposes for negotiating or securing real estate purchases or lease options under 1 VSA 313A2, we could make that a motion.
I'll make the motion.
So moved, seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Marilee?
Aye.
Okay, so at this point, we can be done with the broadcast. And again, if there's any decisions made, we will come out of executive session and make those, and they'll be in our minutes. Okay, thank you.